Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Be a couple years ago. Be 25 back then. Roommate and I can't pay rent, because we both just so happened to be fired from our respective jobs around the same time. Neither of us have anywhere else to go, no family, nothing. A friend gets the idea to rob a place to make ends meet. Tell friend I know nothing about robbing. He says he's sort of had this as a backup plan for a while, because he was on the brink of being fired for months. He's got a place cased out. This huge mansion. A friend says that some old lady probably lives there. He hasn't seen her, but every week a car shows up and one of 3 middle-aged men, there's a rotation, brings groceries. A friend says that there's no way a man could survive off that amount of food, not comfortably anyway. Thus he reckons it's an old lady, those are probably her sons. I tell him I'd be more comfortable if he was sure who lives in the place. He says all the curtains are always drawn, he's only ever seen the curtains move in one of the upstairs rooms. I don't like it, but we literally have no other option. Our landlord is a dick and kicks people out immediately if they don't pay. We're renting the place without a contract, not paying taxes. The law is not on our side on this either. A friend says he has procured a firearm that can't be traced back to us. I tell him that's a bit extreme. He insists on bringing it. He's put way too much preparation into this, it's getting scary. He has purchased an entirely black outfit for each of us. Says he's bought each article of clothing at a different thrift shop around the county. He's bought us animal masks. I say it's way too theatrical, we're probably going to give the old lady a heart attack if she sees us like that. And these could easily be traced back, but he says they won't be, doesn't go into detail. I wasn't a big fan of the plan to begin with, but now I'm really not into it. We've finally got all the shit together. The day we're set to do it, thunder and lightning, crazy wind, electricity knocked out in our neighborhood. Roommate says fuck it, plan is still on. Thunder might work to our advantage, masking the sounds we make in the house. He has borrowed a van from a friend of his, because the mansion is on the city limits, and has a forest behind it. Friend figures that we could get in unnoticed if we approach it from the backyard. I give him loads of shit for borrowing a van, the most suspicious looking of all vehicles. Fuck it, let's head out. We drive out of town heading northwest, and then heading round north, because the mansion is basically the northernmost point of the city. Friends pull off to the side of the road at this roadside stop that basically has a picnic table on the edge of the forest. He gets out a duffel bag and says we're heading into the forest. 10-minute hike to the backyard. We head out when he says,
"Shit, I forgot something."
He runs back to the van, gets in, starts the van up. At this point I'm freaking out that he's leaving me there. He puts a CD in the sound system. Corn noises. What? He locks the van, leaves it running and gets back to me. What?
No one's gonna come knocking now.
What about the battery?
Calm down, we're not gonna be here that long.
We headed into the forest. Thunder and lightning really nearby. I have a bad feeling about this. All the while hiking through the forest, there's rustling noises everywhere. Chalk it up to the wind and keep walking. Roommate has a compass, says we're nearly there. Hear something howling. Holy shit, that was close and behind us and to the right. We pick up our pace slightly. Hear barking. We look behind us, huge fucking dogs. Maybe wolves, I dunno, dark as fuck. We start running, those dogs look fucking crazy. Feel like we've been running for way too long, where the fuck is this place? Finally, see the huge ominous looking mansion. Oh my god, it looks way scarier from this side, I'd only seen the front. The backyard is basically just a flat piece of land, overgrown grass, and a shed. Still, super happy to see it, Start banging the house to find the nearest entry point. We ran out of the forest and into the backyard. No fence, nothing. Hear the dog things yelping behind us. They've stopped on the tree line and some of them are running back into the forest. The ones still hanging around the tree line look fucking terrified and as though they're in pain. I'm not getting good vibes. Ask roommate how we're going to get back to the van with those wolf dogs whatever's in the forest. Says we'll be prepared and have the gun out and ready. We walks up to the back door and starts picking the lock. Didn't know he could pick locks, but only makes sense, considering all the other preparations he's made. A look around the corner and see that all the buildings are dark. It is 1 a.m., but still, all of them. Street lamps are also out. Must be their power is also knocked out. Roommate says,
We're in.
I have a bad feeling about this. We enter the house. The fuse box is right next to the door. A friend starts prying it open. I tell him there's no use, the power is out anyway.
I'll at least cut the phone line.
What looks like a phone line right under the fuse box. I just want to get over it, so we can get out of here. He says the valuables will probably be upstairs. Notice everything smells of dust. So much fucking dust. Everywhere. Thunder outside is the only noise. We walk quietly through a hallway into what looks like the main entrance hall. Huge staircase like in the movies. Paintings covered in dust. Everything is covered in dust. There are clear lines on the floor and stairs that aren't covered in dust. WTF. I guess the old lady shuffles around. We're both unsettled by this. Look upstairs, the curtains are open, you can see the lightning light up the upper floor. WTF, you said the curtains are always drawn.
They usually are, I don't know what's going on.
Fuck. I suggest we just grab all the silverware in the kitchen and a couple of paintings and bolt. Roommate says we have to head upstairs, that's where the good shit ought to be. I have a bad feeling about this. Tell him that we should at least look around this entrance hall. Rich people probably put good shit on display here. All sorts of shit covered with tarp or whatever, to keep the dust off I suppose. We're looking around, lifting up the tarps, dust covers, whatever, quietly. I look at this tiny one-legged table next to the door. The top isn't covered in dust. Cross on the table. What? Look at the door. Cross on the door. I recall there also being a cross on the back door. Oh fuck. I do not like where this is going. Whisper this information to my friend. He tells me to shut the fuck up and that there's fuck all under the tarps. He insists that we have to head upstairs. I man the fuck up and we go upstairs. There's a hallway going both ways and then turns off at a right angle heading to the back of the mansion. He says we should split up. I tell him he's a fucking dumbass if he thinks we're doing that.
What are you, scared of an old lady?
I'm scared of whatever the fuck is going on here.
Fuck off. You take left, I'll take right. The old lady's room is at the end of my hallway, so you don't have to worry. We open all the doors along the way and just scan the rooms for valuable looking shit. And in 10 minutes we meet back here and decide which rooms to head for. Then we take the valuable shit and head out.
Sounds logical enough since I dunno what the fuck I'm doing. We split up. I have a bad fucking feeling about this. Notice that the trail where there's no dust only goes off to the right. Start heading left and notice that the dust only reaches to the part where it turns off towards the back of mansion. Behind the turn, everything is more or less pristine. This is unsettling. Notice all the doors have crosses on them. Open the first door. Everything is pristine. It's just an empty bedroom with a nice bed, nothing valuable. Open the next, same thing. Open the next, same. For fuck's sake. Open the next door, a library. I guess some of these books might be valuable, but we're not carrying bags of books back. Still decide to see if they have any first editions. I'm not entirely an idiot, I know those cost a lot. Don't really find anything, so I head out of the library and into another room. Oh shit, I've hit the jackpot. This is some fancy old lady's bedroom. Room is pristine, no dust anywhere. Table full of women's jewelry and a big mirror, covered. Anyway, I guess it's a mirror. I'm not gonna go pulling off the cover since I'm scared to shit of mirrors in the dark. Stuff a whole bunch of the jewelry in my pockets, when I hear my roommate scream. The most terrified I've ever heard him. I bolt out of the room and run to where the scream was coming from. Yelling out his name since we're not being stealthy anymore. As I round the corner, I can see him round the other corner running my way. An expression of sheer terror on his face. He doesn't have the mask anymore, his was that of a bear. His hair, which is usually dark brown, is white around the temple. Tears running down his face, he screams.
We have to get out.
Absolute all-consuming darkness rounds the corner behind him and consumes him. As I get to the top of the stairs, everything is consumed in complete darkness. The darkness feels heavy. Lightning strikes. Everything lights up for a split second. I can see my roommate plastered across the wall. No blood, but he looks like a truck ran him over and skidded across his midsection. I ran downstairs. Surprisingly, I didn't fall. I escape the pitch black and run to the back door. I make sure to close it behind me and run into the forest, never looking back. I can see the dogs avoiding me. It looks like one of the dogs ahead of me is actually running away from me. I get in the van and try to get in. Fuck. Roommate had the keys. Corn noises still blasting. I ran down the road. Eventually I threw my mask in the forest on the side of the road. Managed to calm down and hitch a ride. The guy thought I looked suspicious all in black. We stopped at a fuel station and he said he'd get cigarettes. I could see him on the phone, so I decided to hitch a ride with a trucker before the cops show up. For all I know, he could have been on the phone making a personal call. But I wasn't going to risk it. My roommate had assumed we'd get some jewelry out of this ordeal, so he'd arranged a friend of his to show up a couple of days later to look at it and then take it away to melt it down and shit. He gave me some money for the shit and I moved out. He didn't ask me about my roommate. I moved as far away as that money took me.
I'm a police officer. Myself and a buddy on my squad responded to an alarm. The incident location was an old office-type building that had been converted to doctors' offices. There was a pharmacy attached to it. Our dispatch received a motion signal from an upstairs office. Key holder arrives on scene and we go in to secure the building. The stairs were locked behind a door that, of course, the key holder didn't have keys to, so we took the elevator up to the second floor. Not the most tactically sound option, I know. The elevator opens to a pitch black hallway. Except for one overhead light at the end of the hall. We start checking doors, and so far all are secured. We get to the last office, and sure enough, the door is unlocked. We make an entry and observe it to be an unused office. The door opens to a sizable waiting room and reception area. There were about 10 or 12 exam rooms, all cleared with no hiccups. Exit the office and immediately, something seems off. That is when I realized the overhead light at our end of the hallway that had been on was now off, replaced by another light over by the elevators. I look at my squad mate and he is completely white. I ask him what is wrong and he says, "Weren't all those doors we just checked closed and locked?" I tell him yay, so. Buddy says, "Well, now they're all standing open." Sure enough, all the offices down the hallway we had just checked were now standing open. Pucker factor sinks in at this point. Start clearing offices and securing offices. We finish the last office, and on our way out, just before we turn the corner to get into the waiting area, the main door just slams shut. Then, our radios start going nuts with some kind of static feedback. Now I just want to get the hell out of there. Get back in the elevator and head down to the first floor to make contact with the key holder again. However, the key holder is nowhere to be found. I contact dispatch and request a callback number for the keyholder so I can advise him of what we found. Dispatch states that the keyholder was still en route to us and was advising an ADA of 5 minutes. I advised dispatch that we had already been out with the keyholder. Dispatch requests I give them a call. Call dispatch and she tells me that there is no way we were out with a keyholder. She states that the alarm company had only just made contact with one. Eventually, the real keyholder arrives on scene and I ask her about the man that had let us in the building, the first keyholder. She asked me to describe him, so I did. She states that that sounds like one of the doctors that used to lease the office on the second floor at the end of the hall. She then states that he had committed self-end at his summer home several days ago. I still won't go back there.
Los Angeles cab driver here, and most of you fuckers don't know shit about Los Angeles. Geez, WTF. Old Mexican ladies speaking in code? No, they're speaking Spanish. Anyway, I hardly have any time to come on here and tell my tales, but there was this male nurse I was picking up for about 3 days. I gave him my business card and he became a steady client thereafter. I'd pick him up from a mental hospital in Norwalk and take him to different addresses. He always claimed that they were friends' houses and that they would take him home the rest of the way. It's not uncommon for people to split their trips like that in order to save money. Anyway, I thought he was awesome because he would always pay for the trips in advance over the phone, which you can do with a credit card through dispatch. And then one day he calls me to pick him up. Only when I get there the cops flag me down to tell me that my nurse was actually a patient that had somehow gotten into some of the lockers belonging to the staff that worked there at the psych hospital. He stole some uniforms and copied credit card numbers, which he was using to pay for his trips. They say he wasn't dangerous but that he was off his meds. The shit I can't figure out is where I was taking him and how he was getting back. Why didn't he use me to get back to the hospital? What was he doing? I discreetly took a picture of him with my phone the first night I picked him up. It's something I always do when someone pays with a credit card over the phone in case it's stolen. This is the picture, by the way.
I have one from my mother's perspective. I haven't really experienced anything myself. Mom. In her 20s, studying, living with roommates in the house. Has her own room with a walk-in attic. Hear tapping inside the attic at night. Cool, I have a ghost. Names the ghost Jacob. One day, hangs up a note on the attic door. Here lives Jacob. Jacob does not approve. Mad knocking and rustling inside the attic. Takes notes. The following night, hear someone walking up the stairs, but only the first step. Next night, the 2 first steps. Next night, 3 steps. Etc. Eventually Jacob, assuming it's him, has walked up the entire staircase. It enters her room, temperature drops, Mom is awake, but pretends to be asleep. Feels something cold moving its hand over her. Mom runs out of the house. Look back. Inside her bedroom window is nothing but a bright, red glow. Pic related, it's the house. We were in the area a couple of years ago, and I took a picture of it. Because my mom is dumb, she never got a good look at Jacob when it entered her room or when she ran out. Nor has she ever contacted whoever lives in the house today to see if they have experienced anything similar. I don't think she has made it up though. She's not the kind that makes up stories to scare people.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.